information. So I have my internal site is called Inside Enterprise, and I also have another one that connects to the external, which is why I have the basic authentication on the external. So I'm using Windows integration, and then here it tells me the libraries that I'm using, and this is just information. So this is a much simpler setup because we know that by connecting to Inside Enterprise, these are the parameters that you're going to have, and I can test the connection, I know it works. So when I click on Pivot Table from the Insight tab, what I have are 4 folders, 3 business subject areas, plus one called Cubes. The one called Cubes is a very high level, master level of the cubes. So, for example, the policy cube would actually break down to most of the financial applications as well as policy movement and functionality there. For most people, it's a lot simpler to go straight into the application you're building. So if I'm building an experience study of, say, claim incidence, I would go to the claim incidence study. And by selecting that, it gives my pivot table a name. This is the sort of the report view. It defaults the name to be the name of the queue, because typically that's a pretty good match if you're building it around that subject area. You can go and change that to the incidence demo, for example, and then it would have a more unique name. So when it's used. And now again, so now I have a blank pivot table, and the fields that within the Insight tab, many of these are available elsewhere, or you can get the same functionality through the natural Microsoft functionality. The one thing that Microsoft doesn't have is the calculation function, so I'm going to demo that a little bit. So the report I'll build will be a benefit actual to expected incidence report with a confidence interval. So my factors I have, I sent a description of these. I have my benefit actual to expected, and our demo data, well, it's not very good. So I'm afraid we're going to see very low actual to expected rates. However, we did make up the data, and we're working on fixing that. So one thing we need, obviously, is going to be dates. So I'll put date in the report filter if we wanted to filter that out, and the expected claim incidence rate. And from the policy dimension, you can see we have a policy dimension which has some important fields near the top. But if I click on the plus sign where it says more fields, I have, as I scroll down, I'm getting 40 or 50 fields that would be relevant filters that we might want to apply to my study. For example, policy premium frequency, premium band, and stuff like that. But I'm just going to go up to the important ones and bring in the product hierarchy into my filter. The reason for that is I'm going to filter on long-term care business, which in our definition, we've built our product hierarchy to be life, long-term health, short-term health. We have a not applicable, which I'm not sure what would be under there, and some other hierarchies below that. But this would be defined in your product mapping table, so it would be unique to you. So you wouldn't see life and disability unless you had some miscellaneous other products. So I select on long-term care, and we've applied the feeder tables, but let's choose another table. It's actually a duplication of the feeder, so the rate didn't change. So to expedite our demo data, we actually duplicated the expected tables in there, but you could switch the expected tables at will. Now, so that gives me my benefit actual to expected. The other dimension, the other measures that we have, is the standard deviation of the expected. So I could click on and show that. So our 95% confidence of our actual to expected would be plus or minus 2 standard deviations. In order to add that, I will use the calculate function. So I click the calc button, and I'll start in quick calc. So I'm going to first calculate the lower 95% confidence, and that will be the benefit actual to expected less the expected, not the contract one, the benefit, that one. So the benefit expected standard deviation of expected. Now, it would be 2 standard deviations, which I don't have the option of another operator in the quick calculation. So what I'll do is just hit save, and then I switch to the calculation tab, where now I can put freeform code in. So I can now make it 2 times the benefit expected standard deviation and hit save. And I'll just do the same for the upper 95%. And you can see that there's a range of things you can do through this quick calculator, but it really is just there to get you started. Let's contract again, benefit, there we go. And really, as you get more experience, you might actually dive straight into the freeform text. So I'll just hit save. The other tab in the calculation in the calculation window is called MDX. The language we're using is called multi-dimensional expressions, and here you will see the full code. So if you built something up using the drag and drop, you could click on the MDX and the code would be exposed to you. And then sometimes you see things like commands about bringing in, unique parent name and the hierarchy that is where it's applying the calculation. So it's useful in that regard as you get more advanced. If I just click save, you can see that our calculation looks reasonable, that we have our benefit expected, so plus 2 is about 14, and less 2 is about 4. I don't need to have this in the report, and I could just order them so that we've got the actual, the actual rate, actual to expected, and the upper. Again, I apologize for the our demo data. If we wanted to, now this calculation, because we entered it in the calculation button, it's been done back on the server. So the important thing there is I could have done the same calculation to the side in my spreadsheet using cell references, but now if I bring in any of my filters, such as I might want to bring in policy attained age, and now it will apply the same calculation to my attained age. Actually, rather than bring in attained age, you'll see I have attained age 1, attained age 2, and attained age 3. These are just different groupings. Here you see it's 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and then the next one will be on the 10-year band starting out with 31. The reason for that is it's a lot quicker to do the calculation on the server, having it predefined, than it is to do it naturally. I could actually put the year in, as I've just done. That came from the more fields and the lower levels available, and then I could do a custom grouping. But if you get to some of the more complex dimensions, like diagnosis codes and stuff like that, it's better to have it defined in the data itself and make that distinction. So I just wanted to clarify that. So our data's pretty bad, but we can really see how bad it is if I add a pivot chart. When I created this report, I could have created a pivot chart straight off. I created a line chart. And it doesn't really matter that it overlaps my table, so I'll put it there so you can see it. And I want to change this just to get something that looks a little better. Format axis. My format axis window is out there. So I'll set my minimum as minus 1. Whoops. And I'll set my maximum as +1, I guess. See what that looks like. Okay, so then hypothetically, I created a chart. And obviously within, after I'm changing the colors, within this design window, I can change it to various different styles at a click of a button. Actually added the icons, which is a little annoying, but I can go and take them off. So you've got all the design options available to you, and various other options. So it's all the layout options. So it's all the standard options available to you within the. I'm going to take off this marker. It's obviously built to have it. And I probably want to take that one off. And you can obviously do option 1. And you can obviously change the colors one by one as well. I'll just leave that one and talk a little bit about the publishing.